Coders from Missouri State University presents Classroom Strategies.
What we're going to talk about real quickly today is the kinds of things you want to discuss with your students when you're doing the batteries and bulbs. So the first thing, of course, we have is a bulb. You can see that we have a bulb here. And one of the things you need to do is have the students pay very close attention to the bulb. The bulb has three key components. One is that there's a contact on the bottom of the bulb, which is insulated and isolated from the other contact, which is the outside screw portion of the bulb. You can see that both of these are made out of metal. Now, inside the bulb, there must also be a connection because we know circuits must go in a connected circle. And you can't see it very well, but if you look very closely, you can see that there is indeed a tiny fine wire that connects one side to the other. You'll want your students to look for all of those pieces when they're learning how to write about their description of the system. Now, what else do we have? We'll have a holder. The holder might not be exactly this, but this is a holder which has to have connections so that you can make the connections, and we'll have a battery. And of course, the battery is a D cell. You might be using double A's, but in any case, we're going to have a 1.5 volt battery. We're going to talk more about voltage later. Now, what you're going to need to do is tell the students that what they're indeed going to try to build is a circuit. And they need to learn for themselves what a circuit means, but there must be a continual connection from one side to the other. So let's briefly go through that. Of course, I think you all know this already. But on one hand, we know that we can't connect the battery to the same side. So you can see I have these tabs here which are metal, and I'm going to connect them. And if I connect them to the same side of the bulb, nothing is going to happen. Now actually, I would have current flowing through the battery. We're going to talk more about current later, but none of it will be flowing through the bulb. So to get something to flow through the bulb, I must connect each side of the bulb, and indeed, then I have light. Now remember, an important consideration for this lab that you're going to do is that the brightness of the bulb stands in for how much current flows through the bulb. We won't have you use meters. We're going to have you use visual perception of the bulb's brightness as a way to talk about qualitatively how much current we have. So there would be current 1, for example. You say, what else can I do? I disconnect this. I can hook up 2 bulbs. Now, if I hook up 2 bulbs, you should understand that many students are going to predict that these bulbs will be the same brightness because it's the same amount flowing through both bulbs. But of course, you're going to find out when we consider more about this with some terms that we're going to learn later, that actually it's harder for the electricity to flow through. And it might be difficult for you to see this, but both bulbs are glowing, but much less brightly than they were before. This means since the brightness is lower, the current is also lower. So don't forget that. So this would be considered series. 1 bulb, and then to go through the next bulb, you must leave the first bulb. That would be a series configuration. Let's look at one other thing for this first YouTube video, and that will be, let's use 2 batteries and 1 bulb. So now I must go minus, plus, or vice versa, but I must hook these up so that it's plus, minus. And in this particular case, I have to be very careful with that. This is going to be like this, and if I do this, now I have 2 batteries with 1 bulb, and you can see indeed that this bulb is now much brighter than it was when I only had 1 battery and 1 bulb. So indeed, what you're going to learn first is that you must have a circuit. You must have a continual loop. The elements of the bulb are very important, and you'll be teaching the students about the elements of the bulb. And you will also be making sure that they understand that how bright it is a stand-in for how much of this thing called current is flowing through it. So that's the first YouTube video for the Coders Grant. Thanks for joining in, and if you want to learn more, you should go to our website, which will be shown in the credits. Thanks.